Hey guys, you're watching Let's Talk About Prepping. I'm Tyler, your host, and in some of my recent videos, I've shared with you the process of building this Quinzee snow cave hut in my backyard. And in this video, I want to share with you the little bit of a camp that I've set up in the finished product. So let's go check it out. Now, if you've seen the past videos, you'll notice that it's snowed quite a bit more since I built this thing. I would normally build this in a ravine or canyon on a hill somewhere. That gives you about 15 feet of deep snow to just excavate this out of. But if you're in a flatland, you're basically going to have to build yourself a pile and compress it as you go so that it's just a dense air insulated ice, and build it like this, hollow it out. So I've got my hut in there, and as you can see, I've got a nice windbreak wall built around the entrance to keep all of my nice warm air from being pulled out, and I'll be sealing that entrance whenever I go in. I've got a couple of candles going in there which will be keeping it pretty nice and warm, even without it being sealed up. Now, as you can see, I've got my stuff set here like I was bugging out. None of this is my actual bug out setup, it's just some extras that I had laying around to approximate what it might look like. Now, what I have there is a alcohol sterno stove going, not even a rocket setup, but as you can see, it's got my water, which was basically at freezing temperature. It was in a water bottle sitting in my car outside, so it's about at 32 degrees because the snow cloud layer is keeping it much warmer than it was a few days ago. So that bottle was just at the level of freezing whenever I started putting it in here. And I'd say that this has probably reached its peak temperature. It's been going for quite a while. So just under boiling with an alcohol stove with the heat concentrated, but without a actual rocket setup. Now, I don't like to carry a large propane style stove with my bug out setup because I don't have a teeny one yet, at least not for my personal bug out setup. But what I do like to carry, because it is so useful in so many everyday situations now and in so many bug out situations, and it's so compact, and I already have a few of these, is a blowtorch. Combined with the thin bottle, this gives me the ability to turn propane into heat. And if I have the patience to be using it myself, or to set up a stove setup with this sort of pointing at the cup, the bottom of it, I am confident that between the alcohol stove setup and brazing it like this, I can achieve boiling. Now, this will not be very ideal for actually boiling water to treat it, but if I have this treated water already, this helps me reach that actual boiling temperature. But I don't really need that for the food that I would be eating in this bug out situation. And that is because in a bug out setup, I like to have food that is ready to go pretty much all the time. To illustrate that point, I want to share what I would be eating if I was in this situation. Now, I put stormproof matches in lots of different pods inside of my bug out setup. I have lighters and everything else too, but these things are just really great in a lot of situations. That's going to guarantee that you're going to light whatever the other thing is that you're trying to light. So that's going to make sure that if all else fails, I can get my alcohol sterno stove going. Now, next step, and next in importance, is coffee options. Got both of these options here. This one can go in a cold bottle of water. You can have coffee right away. And this one needs a little bit of brewing. More coffee, caffeine infused Cliff Energy shot, protein meal bar. Now those things are all on the go options. These could definitely be eaten in cold water, not going to be very ideal, but both of these are really good options for quick, hot or cold calories and nutrition when you're moving, when you don't have a lot of time, when it's just not very convenient to be getting into cooking beans or some other options, but you want a little bit more than the jar of peanut butter that you're carrying in your bug out bag. So there's a nice little peek at my bug out bag on the go food pack. I do have more with me because I like to go for more than just a couple days with my bug out bag. But that is a little glimpse into what I might be eating when I'm on the move and settling in for my first night of a bug out. So let's go ahead in and check out how I'll be setting up for bed on this first night. Now, as you might see, I've actually got some blankets stuffed into my jacket. This is because I need to make a bedroll and I need something to sleep in. Now, in my actual bug out bag setup, I have a mummy bag, a below zero mummy bag. But I'm not going to get that wet tonight just for this demonstration, and I do actually keep these blankets in my car at all times. These are to cover up my bug out footlocker to make it blend in. Just looks like grandma's blankets are in the back seat there. And this is also to hand out if I see a homeless person or anybody else that needs a blanket. And it's obviously also for if I end up in a situation where I need a blanket on top of my mummy bag setup, I'll have it. So the temperature in here is sitting at about 10 degrees above normal, even without the door being covered, mostly because of this higher air pocket up here catching all that heat and trapping it inside of this section here. So now that I've got my ground roll set up, got this next blanket, which is going to be taking the place of my mummy bag in this demonstration. And I'll be right back with my other tarp. Now, I kept this other tarp in the garbage bag with the supposed bug out backpack, which is actually just a very large internal frame camping backpack full of other backpacks for storage, because I want this tarp to be nice and dry, because what it's going to be is my bivvy shell for this blanket to give my whole body a hard outside shell to be wrapped in, trap all of my body heat in with my blanket and my body. It's important to remember not to be putting things on top of your wax candles when you're doing all this, because it's an obvious fire hazard. And even if it doesn't start a fire, it's going to start some really nasty fumes in here. Speaking of fumes, you need to make sure that you have at least 3 or up to 5 or 6 ventilation holes in different sides and levels of your snow cave to make sure that all of the bad fumes don't get trapped in. So what I'm going to do right now is drag my bug out bag in here, and on top of my snow cave I have a garbage bag full of snow, which is going to act as my door. So I'm going to drag those things in, and that'll basically approximate the end of my night. Alright, so as you can see, the garbage bag doesn't really cover it. In an ideal situation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack that in the rest of the way with snow, and my ventilation holes are going to be enough to keep me good in here. It's going to seal me in and make a very, very warm pocket of air in here. So all that's really left for me is to change into a dry set of clothes without getting the new ones wet, without getting my bedding wet. In this situation, it would be ideal to have a fire outside, but you're not always going to have ideal circumstances. So really, you're just going to have to be in your warm area, switch out, set those maybe ideally to hang and dry out a little bit, but definitely want to make sure that they don't freeze hard, and settle into our blanket bivvy setup for a hopefully warm enough night to not freeze to death. And this is the part at which you might have some food, some comfort items, and in that line I might get into something like this, my vice barter items that I keep in my bug out set. Got some Camel cigarettes, some Macallan Scotch, some good stuff there. I haven't smoked in just over a year now, but I would definitely be partaking of that, and I'm pretty tempted tonight, even though I have some pretty nice Kentucky bourbon to go in and have for my birthday celebration. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope that was interesting. Now, I have the benefit tonight of going in and sleeping in a nice warm house because I have to work tomorrow. But in a real life situation, this would be a pretty nice and comfy setup. Now, I do want to point out a few things here. First off, you would do very well to shave off the inside walls of this thing even more than I have, and get it really smooth so that you don't have to worry about dripping on your face or on your body during the night. It's like Chinese water torture. It's miserable. I've been there, and you don't want it. Now, this took a lot of work and a whole lot of calories to put together. I can't stress that enough. I've been eating eggs and oatmeal this whole time. And if you don't have something to replace that kind of calorie, that kind of nutrition, when you're doing hard work, you're going to be in a very sore position. Another thing is, when you're working that hard, you have your head down. You're not looking around for threats, for security, anything like that. If you are, you're going to be spending a lot longer doing this, and this took me quite a long time to get done. So community, having people to watch your back and to help you with work is essential. This is not the kind of thing that lone wolf prepper gets to do and have good operational security at the same time. So definitely something to consider. Food, community, skills, guys. They're good to have. I hope this was interesting, and I hope you'll stay tuned with Let's Talk About Prepping for more. Stay safe out there, guys.